Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Never mind my singing. Forget that. But anyway, like I said, we got a lot to get into today here. And if you guys want, feel free and be a part of the show. The number to dial up here is 312-209-2232. Again, that number to dial in is 312-209-2232. As you can follow me on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. You can also check me out on my YouTube channel here on Saturdays, Charles J. Richey. And of course, you can follow me on Instagram, Prodigy Richey. And I just want to say thank you for anyone tuning in right now for this time. And like I said, we got much to get into, big headlines. And how much do you think one man's injury could affect the league of the NBA in free agency? Of course, I'm talking about none other than Kevin Durant, who's set to hit the open market, but he may be able to pick up his player option coming up this year, as at the time, remember last offseason he signed a 2-year deal with the Warriors, and he's going to be collecting right now at this point in time if he's able to go. Remember, we got Kevin Durant right now, who's expected to miss the entire season. As we look at it, he could probably opt in and pick up his remaining year of his $2 million. I mean, if it's a 2-year deal of $61.5 million total, he'll be collecting $31.5 million as an insurance policy if that were to happen. And boy, I just want to start off by asking the poll right away, right now. Do a lot of you guys feel, after watching these finals this year against the Toronto Raptors, we take a look at it, do you feel like this is a championship that they have earned this past season? Over the 2-time defending champion Golden State Warriors. I'm not going to lie to you. I really feel like right now, at this point in time, I must say, in my opinion, I think the Raptors did everything they could to earn this title. But I must admit, there are quite a few question marks going on right now. As you think about it, if not for injuries to guys like Kevin Durant or Klay Thompson in these finals, I mean, let's face reality here. I definitely do feel like it will be a lot more of an interesting finals. I'm still going to pick the Raptors anyway to win this. And I will admit, as a fan, I was having brewing interest for the Toronto Raptors once we found out they were the team that was going to challenge these Golden State Warriors. I mean, think about this for a second when you really put everything in perspective. I definitely feel like right now that, I mean, yeah, look at the job right now. In a way, I guess you could kind of say from nurse to first, as Nick Nurse, who comes in, is with the Toronto Raptors in his first year with the team, thanks to big help for acquiring a guy like Kawhi Leonard via trade from the Spurs, after a guy who a year ago from his old teammates, a lot of people were calling this guy out and saying, dude, you're faking an injury at this point in time. They really felt like he was bailing on them when you considered everything, and that he wasn't all in with his teammates, that they were being cast aside, and he was doing everything unprofessionally to want to get out. And I don't really feel like that's the case, in my opinion. obviously, when you look at it like right now, the history of sports, and you look at the injuries right now, and according to ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, he stated that if the Warriors are able to keep both Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant, offering them both max contracts, if KD is able to say, nah, I don't know if I want to go New York or Brooklyn. I mean, there's still a lot of question marks be expected when you got Mr. Dolan with the New York Knicks, who's definitely had his share of controversy and history, the way he's treating people overall. But, I mean, front office, the people underneath them have been doing a whale of a job when you really look at things. And when you really think about it, I mean, guys who definitely work their tail off right there. You got president right now, Steve Mills, general manager Scott Perry, and of course, head coach David Fizdale. So, like I said, I think the biggest thing right now, as far as with when you look at it, that could really potentially screw this thing up, is James Dolan. I mean, the latest report on Kevin Durant, he seems like he's got right now, at this point in time, and when you really look at it, I mean, right now, he's pretty much got like already a home ready in New York. And I think that's a very telling sign right now. I mean, and you also got to take a question right now. Does Kevin Durant somehow, in a way, feel betrayed by a guy like Steve Kerr, his doctors, and people outside? Because remember, a lot of people were diagnosing this as a calf strain. Actually, was his Achilles he was playing through. Pretty much, as a lot of people learned this whole time. I mean, when you really look at things, this is a guy right here. You got to start to put in the question, I think, with the Golden State Warriors, did Steve Kerr overwork his guys? I mean, look at Klay Thompson right now. I mean, you have two of your biggest stars go out. I mean, of course, you go 5 straight NBA Finals, but when you have a run like this, you got to believe at certain points it's going to become taxable in physical ways. And you see like how much wear and tear it's taking on the effects of these bodies. I mean, you cannot deny this. This is not something we will make up. I think right now, where we have to look at this Warriors right now, definitely one of the greatest, I think, dynasties of all time. I mean, no doubt about it, in NBA Finals history. I was going to say, before losing this Finals for their second time in the last 5 years, so they went 3 for 5 in the last 5 years. Yeah, back-to-back championships. I was saying to myself, they almost kind of remind me in some ways of like the Boston Celtics when you really think about things. But I think for right now, when you look at it, right now, I think you have to put in the question, fair or not. I think Steve Kerr is going to have some people watching the way he's coaching these guys going into the future. Because now Adrian Wojnarowski is saying with these injuries, with Klay Thompson expected to be back by February or March, if he beats out the rehab, they may be fighting for the playoffs that year. I mean, that is something to think about. I mean, instantly how this thing changes in a heartbeat. When you got Steph Curry, you got Looney, and you got all these other guys, and you still got questions on DeMarcus Boogie Cousins, who took a gamble to come over here from the Pelicans to the Warriors. Is there going to be a decision to make on him? Do the Warriors feel like he's valuable enough to keep around? Obviously, a lot of people argue he wasn't at full strength. We'll continue our NBA fast break. And coming up, how does this affect the rest of the league? I'm Charles Prodigy Richey. You can follow me on Twitter once again at Prodigy Richey. You're listening on deck only on CSR. Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Charles Prodigy Richey. I wanted to say thank you very much. Got one person in here, and knows person very well. Little Monty 83. Want to say how you doing right now? Thank you very much for joining. We are in break number one, folks, here of On Deck right now. Just wrapped up the NBA Finals. Toronto, the first ever championship being brought over to the country of Canada. Last team, ironically, believe it or not, it was the Toronto team, the Toronto Blue Jays, 1993 Joe Carter walk-off home run. A team who has not been experienced a title in Canadian sports. I mean, hockey. Then, of course, you could argue baseball and Canadian football. And basketball now, as a matter of fact, now it's becoming a thing. It has to go right up there. A pretty amazing accomplishment as we take a look at things. But yeah, I definitely feel like right now it is historic. But like I said, I still feel like it's got question marks. Right now, like I said, coming up as we go into this next break, we got a big free agent class of 2019. Kevin Durant, what's up, Pitney? I just saw that right now. You got guys like you got forwards like Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, and of course Jimmy Butler, who's guard / forward, two-way player. Kyrie Irving, Kevin Walker, Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, Chris Middleton, D'Angelo Russell, and Al Horford. Does Kawhi Leonard stay with the Raptors, or does he still come over the hometown of LA? I'm not sure if it's going to be so much with the Lakers. A lot of people are looking at the Clippers, but I don't know. I really feel like right now for the Lakers, their best bet is to be all in on Anthony Davis. So I hope they're doing a better job with the front office organization. I'm still a little disappointed Magic Johnson. Just want to let people know. Obviously, I feel like right now when you got guys in that front office, it's become a circus right there. And I don't want to see LeBron James leave, but there has been threats right now if they don't land a potential star of the pair with him, which he's come for, man to believe in. I can't say I blame the guy. So find out a little bit more. We got right now a little over a minute before we get back here on deck. And then, of course, for the last final wrap up of the show we got later on, we have got who was the biggest winners and losers this week. New York Knicks, are they still the biggest losers in the offseason watching with Kevin Durant, his Achilles tear? Or what about the Raptors? First Canadian championship in over a quarter century. And then you also got the St. Louis Blues. First ever Stanley Cup Finals championship. How sweet it is. And ironically, that's a team who they lost to 49 years ago, nearly 50 years, to the Boston Bruins. Made the Cup Finals in their first 3 years as a franchise. Because they were one of the teams outside the original six. One of the longest franchises waited a long time. With 51 seasons, 52 years to be exact, minus 1 year from the strike of 405. So get ready.
I will be covering Pro Wrestling. So please join us on Tuesday afternoon from 3 to 5 p.m. only on ChicagolandSportsRadio.com.
What's up, Chicago? Want to get the latest updates on all sports?
And welcome back here to On Deck here with me, Charles Prodigy Richey on CSR. You can check out our Facebook page that is on here throughout the week. Go to ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. As you just saw my guy who gave a beautiful sports update, Paulie C. He can be followed on Twitter. It's me, Paulie C47. He is also on two other shows throughout the week with the Fans Corps every Tuesdays from 3 to 5 p.m. And, of course, the Rising Feminists of Wrestling from 12 to 2 p.m. with Stephanie Delgado. Again, he can be followed on Twitter at It's Me, Pauly47. Of course, I can be followed on Twitter at Prodigy Richey. Feel free to check me out on Instagram, Prodigy Richey, and then you can check out my YouTube channel, Charles J. Richey. And right now, I just want to repose the question to everybody right now. What does everyone think when you look at this NBA Finals that just went down, took place, may have altered some decisions in the free agency clash throughout the league, a big rippling effect, more than likely, no doubt about it. But I will say this. Did the Raptors truly earn this, or are there still some asterisk people willing to put on there if Kevin Durant and Klay Thompson were not going down with injuries? Listen, I feel like the Raptors definitely deserve their just due. I mean, you exploit the handicaps, and the minors, and you know what? Look at what's happened. They play for it. Kawhi Leonard joins two other players in NBA history to be an NBA champion and NBA Finals MVP with two other teams. You had with Lou Alcindor, who literally become Kareem Abdul-Jabbar with the Milwaukee Bucks in 1971 NBA Finals. Then, of course, fast forward about 14 years later with the Los Angeles Lakers when they finally defeated the Boston Celtics for the first time after losing 8 consecutive previous finals matches with the days Jerry West, Elgin Baylor, and Wilt Chamberlain. They went 1-8 that year. That was his last and only NBA Finals MVP. Then you got LeBron James, of course, with the Miami Heat, and bringing one back for the land with the Cleveland Cavaliers back in 2016, 3 years ago, which happened to be, by the way, the Warriors' last finals loss. So, and now Kawhi Leonard joins that group, delivering one with the Spurs, even though he had a lot of help. Of course, being drafted was his original team when you had guys like Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Miles Ginobili, Greg Popovich, who's definitely done a whale of a job. No doubt about first ballot Hall of Fame coach when he gets in, when that time comes up. And then, of course, now with the Toronto Raptors, I like to think of it as going from nurse to first. No pun intended. But anyway, let's just go back right over here. So I was just mentioning, too, we got this free agency class coming up right now. And like I said, I feel like you got guys who are definitely in question right now. And let's begin with the list of names right now. Beginning the more obvious one, Kevin Durant right now. This is a guy right here who signed last year a 2-year deal with the Warriors to remain with them for $61.5 million. And obviously a lot of the things are that he's going to be more than likely a max contract free agent. He's trying to go for the max value, which will put him in this year at this point in time at $241 million. He could be making $48.2 million if not for this Achilles tear, the injury that he suffered in the finals. So right now the question is, does he fight for intense rehab, guts it out? You got $31.5 million as an insurance policy. You'll still be making money. It's not like you'll be go for broke here. The Warriors do want to keep him. And, of course, you got guys like Bob Meyer, who definitely feels very guilty of allowing Kevin Durant to go out and play like he did in Game 5. I got to tell you, going into that game, listen, I still like guys chasing after that brass ring. You want to be great. You want to go out there. You want to show it. No doubt about it. But I will say this. As we look at it right now, I understand that nowadays with sports, it's definitely about the money game. When you think a lot of these athletes who put their careers on the line, and look at it, I mean, you see like a lot more injuries where it's concussions or knees or whatever. And you got the unique thing about sports like basketball and baseball, where you definitely have a lot more guaranteed money to be offering. As right now, I don't know. I think for right now, when you really think about things, you definitely got to put a lot of things in the question as far as, do I risk my overall long-term career? And just because I want to help this team three-peat, he's already a two-time champion at that point in time. Because think about it, even if he would have played, and let's just say Klay doesn't get hurt, and it's a big what if, and I understand that, they would have three-peated. He really didn't have much to lose, if you ask me. I mean, he had a lot in his favor. You're going to be going for max dollars. Either way, if you choose to stay with the Warriors, why not? I will just say it out. I just think it was a big mistake. And, of course, a lot of his people, his trainers, his doctors looked at him, felt a little bit betrayed. So, and like I said, one of those guys who I hold accountable is definitely Steve Kerr. He has to take some culpability in this. So I'm going to anticipate for right now, I don't know. I think he's going to pick up his $31.5 million deal from the Warriors. He's going to take a year to figure it out. But he may have lost about $100 million. And who knows if he's ever going to come back the same. Next guy up and you got to remember, Kevin Durant. He's definitely one of the biggest scorers and killer guys in the clutch in NBA history we've seen all time. Now, what about Kawhi Leonard? A guy who's averaged 26.6 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, shot over 49% for field goal, and 37% for 3 points. He'll be turning 28 at the end of this month on the 29th. Kevin Durant, by the way, he'll be turning 31 on September 29th. So not only that, even if he doesn't come back fraction himself, there's going to be a lot of hesitation, I think, a little bit. Not a lot, but some here and there. I don't care what people say they're going to give the max dollars to. But this is a guy right here. Does he do the right thing, stay with Canada? Will he help deliver a championship? Or does he move on in free agency? I don't know. It's going to be hard to break up a brotherhood like that, come in and feel like you have him for like a one-year rental. Then, of course, you got Jimmy Butler, who's turning 29. I mean, he's going to be turning 30 in September 14th, averaging about 19 points, over 5 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals, 46% percentage from the field goal range. His teams he's looking to pair up with are going to be either staying with 76ers. The Lakers seem to have mutual interest with him, according to some reports. You got the Nets, Knicks, Mavericks as other potential spots. And it went public that he was going to be declaring his 2019-2020 player option. So I'm going to say with Jimmy Butler, I'm not sure if he's going to match up with LeBron James, but I want to say he'll probably end up going somewhere like, I think he'll remain with 76ers. I'm not sure about him. You got Kemba Walker right now. Who's going to say if he's moving with a draft lottery team, be a number one star, getting paid max millions of dollars, but of course shoots themselves in the foot by not getting other stars to pair with him? That is another thing to like really think about it when you look at it. Or the whole those thoughts, we're going to get back to that a little bit more. But first, we got to take a break. We got to get ready for this bottom of the hour scoreboard update. Me, Charles Prodigy, Richey. You're listening to CSR on deck. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, it's Prodigy, your cats with the happening stats. We'll keep all your Chicago and national sports topics trending on deck. Oh, yeah, CSR.
Chicago Sports Radio, Sports Update.
At 1:30 p.m. with me, Charles Prodigy Richey. You're listening to ChicagolandSportsRadio.com update. Brought to you by AutoZone. If you want to get in the zone, make sure to go to AutoZone. We begin right now currently as we take a look across the scoreboard as Chicago Cubs, who lost their last two to the Los Angeles Dodgers in a 4-game series, looking to try and get back in the series by picking up a game and not getting swept. They're going to be taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight at 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. As we got on that game, later on coming up when the Cubs, who are going to be sending on the mound, you're going to be having Yu Darvish, who's 2-3 with a 4.96 ERA, going up against Walker Buehler of the Los Angeles Dodgers, who's 7-1 with 3.35 ERA. Then, of course, you got the White Sox right now. We're going to be hosting the New York Yankees. That game is going to be at 6:10 p.m. in Guaranteed Rate Field. And you got Chad Green of the Yankees 1-2 record going up against Ronaldo Lopez with a 4-6 record, a 6.21 ERA. And then also as we take a look at the NBA right now, as we take a look at it, right now as we look at things, you already got like Klay Thompson right now, who tore his ACL in game number 6 of the NBA Finals. More than likely, he's going to be coming back around February, March of next season, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, and he fears that's going to hurt their chances of making the playoffs as we take a look at things. Then, of course, Vince Carter, he already announced earlier that next season will be his last year of his over 2-decade NBA career. This sports update has been brought to you by AutoZone. If you want to get in the zone, make sure to go to AutoZone. I'm Prodigy Richey, and you're listening to CSR. It's not just sports, it's a way of life. And now back to On Deck, only on CSR. And welcome back here to CSR on Deck with me, Prodigy Richey. And we're just wrapping up the NBA free agency class of 2019. It's supposed to be a star-studded lineup as we looked in here. Had a lot of interesting names to throw out there as we take a look at things. Left off with Kemba Walker right now, who's with the Charlotte Hornets right now, averaging about close to 26 points, about 4 rebounds and 6 assists, 43% field goal shooter, as well as 36 from the 3, and has a choice to make money as the number 1 star on the lottery team in Charlotte or take less. And his possible spots to be looking into would be the Hornets, Knicks, Lakers, Mavericks. Klay Thompson, no doubt about it, he already made his intentions clear, of course, along with his father, the legendary Michael Thompson, who played on that late 80s Los Angeles Lakers team, who won back-to-back championships in 1987, 1988. They plan hell-bent on staying around, but definitely be going for some intense rehab. They got another interesting name here, Tobias Harris. This is a guy right now who's been traded at least 4 times in 8 years and trying to finally get to decide where he'll play for a few years. The belief is that he'll be able to get a max contract from some team this summer, despite being seen as a second or third option on another team. Definitely be an interesting name. And you got D'Angelo Russell right now. His spots are probably looking at the Nets, Suns, Bulls, and Mavericks. You got to really think about that right now when you really think about it. So I think of all the names. And two, you also got coming up, don't forget, we also got Al Horford is the last one, who is looking to try and possibly either remain with the Celtics or he could and see if he'll opt in the final year of his $30 million and go into free agency. He'll be on high demand in the open market. And out of all the names right now, I think who definitely holds the cards, you have to look at Kawhi Leonard. This is a guy who's still healthy. And no offense, I don't care if Durant was in this finals or not. I believe he kind of took his throne a little bit away. Say what you will. But like I said, there will be some question marks, no doubt about it. We got to hit this break right now. But coming up, we'll go into the biggest winners and losers of this past week. Listen, now that can be Prodigy Richey, only on CSR.
It's not just sports, it's a way of life. To kick off your career in radio and TV broadcasting at the Illinois Media School downtown Chicago campus. Call us at 312-884-8000 or visit 530 South State Street to learn how you can make your dreams of being on television and radio a reality. Don't take my word for it. Check out what some industry professionals said about the Illinois Media School. Jonathan Hood, ESPN 1000. People often ask me, Cody, how can I be a sports radio guy like you? I tell them it takes drive and determination, and you need to learn how it all works. To learn to be a sports talk show host, a producer, do play-by-play, and shoot and edit video, you'll have a chance to get internships at stations where you can tap into the knowledge of industry pros. With job placement assistance, you can start your new career in 1 year. It's a great school to get the hands-on training you need for a broadcasting career in which you love. Affordable tuition and financial aid for those who qualify. So don't wait a minute. Go to beonair.com/Chicago Sports. That's beonair.com/Chicago Sports.
Hey, it's Chris Reese, and I'm so glad to be back at IMS. I graduated back in 2007. Started my career at US 99.5. Started working with Lisa and Ray. I was a producer there for about 7-8 years, and I am so glad to be back in the building teaching some new students here, getting them back doing Adobe, getting over that fear of talking on the radio. It's Chris Reese, night guy on 101.9 in the mix. I am IMS.
How's it going? My name is Edgar Barr, and I'm very grateful for all the knowledge I received at the Illinois Media School. My 15-year career in radio has been a dream come true. I'm a radio DJ, I'm on the air, and I get to be a program director for 2 radio stations in Wisconsin. My dreams became a reality with the Illinois Media School. Illinois Media School is a great school with great teachers and former students now working in the industry today on the radio stations you listen to and on the TV stations you watch every day. Illinois Media School, check it out for more details at beonair.com.
I could have said it better myself. This is Jonathan Hood, instructor at the Illinois Media School, formerly Pacific Broadcasting. So many reasons for you to consider Illinois Media School: financial aid for those who qualify, real-world hands-on experience, internships, and so much more. Don't just take my word for it. Set up a tour of one of the 2 Chicagoland locations. Go to beonair.com/Chicago Sports to learn more. That's beonair.com/Chicago Sports.
I'm not only on that bandwagon, because I'm driving that bandwagon, and we won't stop until we get to Cooperstown.
This week, did you catch the score of the Cubs game last night?
No, actually, I didn't.
You need to tune in to Covering the Bases on ChicagoLandSportsRadio.com.
Isn't that the hot new baseball show with Matt Brown and Steven Garcia?
Yes, they cover the Cubs insights, scores, updates, and up-to-the-minute news around Major League Baseball and more.
Covering the Bases this Wednesday from noon to 2 p.m. only on ChicagoLandSportsRadio.com and
Oh, well, shit.
You're listening to ChicagoLandSportsRadio.com. It's not just sports, it's a way of life.
This past Saturday night on deck, we chose Prodigy Richey and KD and Klay called we both listen to the Cubs win a series and find out what the White Sox will do.
Okay, play it on!
Plus NBA and NHL film. The Richey too. On deck every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. Number 1. Baby, number 1. Oh, yes, sir.
The Illinois Media School trains broadcast media professionals. If you want a career in broadcasting, the Illinois Media School is a great start. In front of the camera, mic, or behind the scenes, IMS will help you prepare for a career in broadcasting in just 8 months. With financial aid available for those who qualify. Call the Illinois Media School in Chicago at 312-884-8000, 312-884-8000, or visit the website at beonair.com.
And welcome back here to the CSR's On Deck with me, Charles Prodigy Richey. We are in the home stretch right now of the wrap-up of the show as we get ready to close things out with the biggest winners and losers from this past week as we take a look at it. And right now, we got James Hicks. I just want to say thank you very much for tuning in, checking out the show here as we looked at it throughout. Yeah, and I definitely got to say for right now, I want to say the biggest winner so far right now this past week, I think it definitely has to go to Toronto and the country of Canada. Like I said, first ever championship in over a quarter century, 26 years as a matter of fact. Last team to deliver a championship to not only Toronto, but the country of Canada, the Toronto Blue Jays in the 1993 World Series, defeating the Philadelphia Phillies in 6 games. They did that from coming back from behind and in fashion in the 9th inning, and Joe Carter had the walk-off home run to win that thing for the Blue Jays. And, of course, I think he was the World Series MVP in that one. But right now, I want to definitely say, yeah, I mean, why not? I mean, it's been a long time coming for a lot of sports. I mean, of course, you have gold medals that they've won in the Winter Olympics hockey. I mean, the last few years. I mean, the last 20 years when you were defeating the USA men's hockey in the finals twice within the decade, in 2010, 2014. And winning this championship for Toronto, it kind of gives like a little bit reverberated life. And a lot of movie theaters, too, when the Raptors were trying to close out this final series. This was according to ESPN NBA analyst Jalen Rose, who definitely felt like it's like you're owning a nation. I mean, really think about that for a second. I mean, like the historical stuff that they did overall. And I can't help but like not deny that. I mean, when you really think about things, I mean, it is definitely a thing to be admired and to really be looked at. I mean, in such a way. But right now, before we go any further, real quickly, on this day in sports history, don't forget, 4 years ago today, it was the anniversary of the Chicago Blackhawks winning their 3rd Stanley Cup under the Joel Quinn Bowl area with Patrick Kane, John Fatez, Marian Hossa, and of course, goaltender Corey Crawford. So, and that was their 6th and final championship so far to this day. So I want to make sure I give a special shout out to them. Hawks Nation, who's definitely paying attention, I'm sure. But yeah, now let's go back to the segment. And then, of course, you also got the St. Louis Blues, who I put right behind them. First ever Stanley Cup championship in franchise history. And I'm not going to lie to you, that was a tough spot to try and win your first ever Stanley Cup in a town like Boston in a Game 7 when you really look at things. And this is a team who's definitely, I want to say, like highly favored, in my opinion. You had to go to the TD Garden, the AKA Boston Garden, and win this in a hostile environment. After losing the previous game 5-1, I really thought like the Blues watching this, even though they won a lot of games on the road throughout these playoffs, I was really feeling like they blew it. I mean, I still had a little bit of confidence in them, the way they were playing. But I mean, when you really think about it, Jordan Binnington, too, I mean, their goalie for the St. Louis Blues, I mean, definitely did enough, I think, in this series. I mean, when you really think about it, and you can't really say enough about him in this. I mean, then, of course, when you really look at it overall, I mean, when you look at the Conn Smythe Trophy winner in this Cup Finals, when you really look at it, who actually won this, Ryan O'Reilly won it. And he had a franchise record for 23 points in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And there a lot of people on the Sporting News were saying it had a lot to do with O'Reilly. And, man, wow. It's definitely was something that was waiting a long time for those fans and those group of people right there who definitely had a lot of waiting and a lot of heartbreaks. This is a team who really was looking like as one of the lovable losers. I hate to say it. I mean, the Cubs used to have that reputation too, but I can't really deny like how they were performing after all these years. This is a championship feeling they have not experienced in quite a long time. I mean, of course, you had the Cardinals championship last 8 years, but I mean, think about the town of St. Louis. You have NBA championship with the St. Louis Hawks back in 1958, and I think they defeated the Boston Celtics in that year. But before that, you had the World Series by the St. Louis Cardinals, who were still respectable and still winning some. And then, of course, let's fast forward to about 20-year anniversary coming up for the Rams, who were known as the St. Louis Rams at that point in time, after being about almost 5 years removed, or 4 years removed from moving away from LA and into St. Louis, greatest show on turf, defeating the Tennessee Titans in the memorable Super Bowl right there, which was more famous for the near comfort behind dramatics by the Tennessee Titans. They managed to hold on and win that. Kurt Warner, guy who came from the Arena Football League, but a guy who's bagging groceries at the time, made his journey into the NFL and won it under Dick Vermeil, who's a journeyman, who went 0-1 in his Super Bowl history back in 1980, losing to the Oakland Raiders. He was the head coach of the Philadelphia Eagles, finally gets his first ring. And then for St. Louis, like I said, yeah, a couple World Series with the Cardinals in the 2000s, one from 06 and 2011 from the manager at the time, Tony La Russa. So now they finally have the missing piece, the crowning jewel, the Stanley Cup Championship. Now their city and town has been complete as we take a look at it. And you know what? That is really something to be commended for right there. Now they could, all the yeah buts, well, yeah, you didn't have a Stanley Cup championship. Not too many sports towns can really say that, where they have all their championships and all their sports towns right there. And when you really look as far as like at the all-time list, speaking of like cities with most professional championships, we take a look. Right now, the St. Louis, they are 10th right now all time with 14. Behind, guess who? Toronto with 16. And let's go down the top 10 of with the most championships in a city. You got New York with 54 championships altogether, which includes 35 World Series, 9 Super Bowls combined between the Giants and Jets, 2 NBA titles, 8 Stanley Cups from their hockey teams. And, of course, you got Boston right behind them with 38 overall. Chicago with 29. Montreal with 26. Detroit with 22. Los Angeles with 20. Philadelphia with 18. And, of course, you got Pittsburgh right now with 16. Toronto, which, by the way, they're in a tie with Pittsburgh for most championships in the town with 16, as a matter of fact. Oh, I forgot Philadelphia. They're right after Los Angeles as we take a look at that. They are number 7 all-time. Then after Toronto, you got St. Louis with 14. And outside that top 10, you got Green Bay with 10 altogether. Of course, no doubt about it, with Green Bay, a majority of those championships coming from the Green Bay Packers. I mean, they didn't really acknowledge like the Milwaukee Bucks because it's not Green Bay, but I mean, it's still part of the state of Wisconsin. Remember, they also have 1 championship in that town. So, I mean, you can technically kind of make the argument for 15, but it's really 14. We're talking about just by the city and town alone. And that's really how I look at it right there. But as far as like the biggest losers, I mean, no doubt about it, I think when you really think things out, I mean, when you look at this and you start to question, it probably has to be like the New York Knicks right now. I mean, we shall see. I mean, with that Achilles tear, how much do they play chicken right now all of a sudden? I mean, does KD still go to New York, but he just goes to just say, maybe I'll go with the Brooklyn Nets instead, who's got a little bit more of a stable ownership. You got Jay-Z, who's been a big contributor with that town. And, yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say on here when you look out. But, yeah, I think the Knicks have to be. I mean, you're definitely almost certain, almost of a shoo-in that they're going to have Kevin Durant in here. And, yeah, I definitely feel like right now it is a thing where you have to take a little bit more caution to the wing. Stuff may have fell through. We shall see. Only time will tell on that. But I definitely got to believe right now that you have to continue to keep hope alive at this point in time. And definitely just feel a little bit more. But in the end, it's kind of hard to put in place. But, yeah, that's what I'm going to look at. I'm going to look at the Raptors as number one, not only for Toronto, but the country of Canada. Number two, the St. Louis Blues. And then as far as the winners, then you got New York Knicks possibly. And probably their future being altered. And maybe a lot of players in the NBA as far as like the marquee free agents we broke down the list earlier. And that list includes guys like, aside from Kevin Durant, you got Kawhi Leonard, Kyrie Irving, Jimmy Butler, Kemba Walker, Klay Thompson, Tobias Harris, Chris Middleton, D'Angelo Russell, and Al Horford. All those guys right there. But I think that definitely the biggest moving pieces right now, because you also got to look right now. There's been a lot of thoughts. It's just starting to go back to the way it was before. We're going to see guys want to stick it out and gut it out with their team at this point in time. Only time will tell that, I mean, if you ask me. But, yeah, I definitely feel that. But anyway, I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming out to the show and leaving your comments as we take a look at it over here. You can always catch me every Saturday from 1 to 2 p.m. on CSR. Check out our Facebook page. That is ChicagolandSportsRadio.com. And then, of course, aside from that, you can check me out on Twitter at Prodigy Richey, as well as on Instagram, Prodigy Richey. And then you can also check out my YouTube channel, Charles J. Richey. For Charles and Prodigy Richey, my co-host, who's usually here every now and then, Paulie C. You can follow him on Twitter. It's me, Paulie C. As always, don't be trolling, be rolling. I gone.
Windy City Nation, welcome back into the Windy City podcast. Sellout time has finally arrived. The first time in franchise history, the Windy City Bulls will have a postseason game joining the field of 12 who will do battle for the G League championship. G League actually has its own version of March Madness. Top 6 teams from each conference making the postseason. Those teams then play a single elimination tournament leading up to the G League finals. 2 teams meeting in the finals then play a best of 3. Top 2 teams in each conference will get an automatic bye into the second round. Both playoff opener will be on the road against the Westchester Knicks on Wednesday, March 27th at 6 p.m. Central Time. That will be on ESPNU, so tune in for that. I'll preview that matchup a little more at the tail end of the pod here today. If the Bulls beat the Knicks, they will then travel to Florida to take on the 2nd seed in the East, the Lakeland Magic. So 3 wins is all it takes to reach the G League Finals. As we talked about before, there's parity in the G League, so really a wide open tournament for who wants the most. Our first guest today is definitely someone who wants to take home that championship trophy. That's Windy City Bulls president Brad Seymour. Brad was kind enough to join us to reflect on the 2018-2019 season and the franchise's first run to the G League playoffs.
Here courtside at the Sears Center Arena, joined by Windy City Bulls president Brad Seymour in his third season with the team. He's been here since day one, and his guys are going to the playoffs for the first time. And as the president, Mr. Seymour, how does that sound to you?
Oh my gosh, it's great. The team has come such a long way. I mean, you think back to, certainly how we started this year, but over the last month, call it month and a half, they have just been a really fun squad to watch. And what makes it better is this is a really good group of guys too, on and off the court, and the way they interact with our fans. And it's a really good group to root for, an easy group to root for. And so we're excited to see what happens starting next week once we get into the postseason.
It's definitely going to be fun. And as we kind of transition away from the stuff on the court, the vibes here that we always have at the Sears Center with, the fans coming in every home game, just kind of, since you began from season one to now, the fan engagement, what's that been like as you kind of have really gotten your feet wet into getting out to this northwestern suburban community outside Chicago and really getting this area to really come to the games and really interact with everything that happens here at the Sears Center?
Well, it's the thing that's certainly most fulfilling for us on the business side when we see a really good crowd here at the arena, an enthusiastic crowd. We've been blessed the last several weekends with some really solid attendance numbers, and so those are the things that we obviously work year round on, but it's also the most fulfilling, and it's our biggest challenge too. I mean, I can be honest in saying that we are, I say it's a small fish in a big market, but we